Hi guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've already been here before. My name is Julie. I do own a kids spa salon. I am in a storefront right now, but I used to be mobile before, so I do have a bunch of experience on this. And on today's video, I want to talk to you guys about the pros and cons of being mobile and having a storefront, because I've done both. This is just personal experience and what I think about it. If you already own either or and you have anything you want to talk about and you want others to know about, leave it down in the comments below so that others can read your experience. So like I said, basically this is just my experience, but I want to talk to you guys about the pros and cons. That way, if you are wanting to open a storefront and you're already mobile, or you're barely on the process of doing either or and you don't know what to do first, maybe this can help you guys. Okay guys, so I want to start off by talking about my mobile kids spa and my experience. I'm gonna tell you about some pros and cons, things that I liked, things that I didn't like, and that will help you narrow down whether you want to be mobile or you want to have a storefront. Pretty much my number one pro, or the number one thing that I liked about owning a mobile kids spa, was that I pretty much didn't have any bills to pay. Majority of the profits came back to me. The only thing that I would pretty much have to pay was my hostess or helper, my gas, and then supplies, any little supplies that I needed for the parties. And it was amazing because I didn't have no like big payments to make, pretty much, and so it wasn't as stressful in that area. Number two is that I didn't have any contracts, any attachments. I wasn't tied up to anything, so I could schedule my parties as I pleased. So if I wanted to work more in April, I can work more in April. If I didn't want to work in March, I didn't have to work in March. So it's pretty much, you know, I can make up my own schedule in, you know, consciously knowing that I didn't have any big bills to pay or any attachments to contracts or leases or anything like that. So that's number two. The number two thing that I liked about owning a mobile kids spa: no attachments at all. You know, I can make my own schedule, and I love that. I could travel, and you know, if I wanted to work or not, I could, you know. So that's my number one. My number two, you know, pro about owning a mobile kids spa. So I'm gonna talk to you guys about my cons, you know, and this is just my personal experience and things I did. Now have in mind, I didn't have my mobile side of the business for very long. I think I only did it for a year because honestly I didn't like it back then, and I guess it was the way I was running it. And like I said, I didn't have any guidance or anything like that. It was just, you know, I was trying to learn and, you know, do it on my own pretty much, and just learn along the process. So back then I didn't like it, and one of the reasons I didn't like it was because I pretty much used my own vehicle. I didn't have a van or any specific car that was for the business. So the unloading and loading from my car to my car, it was just hectic because I had to like basically load up my kids, load up the items. I would have to load them up from the house to the car, go drop off my kids, and then, you know, wherever they were gonna stay at, because I was gonna go work, so I needed somebody to watch them. And then basically from the car to the client's house or wherever I was gonna do the party at, back to the car, and then back to the house. So I mean, it was pretty hectic, and back then it was just me and my niece, so it was a lot of work, a lot of items, tables, chairs, boxes, bins, a lot of stuff, right? So it was the loading part that got to me. Now if you are starting mobile, I would suggest you know, invest in a vehicle, in a van that is going to be specifically for that, so you don't have to be unloading from your house to the car. And the only place you would have to unload and load is from, you know, your vehicle to the client's home, and then back to the vehicle. And so it's a lot easier. And then number two would have to be because I would forget items. So because of the number one reason that I didn't have a specific van or vehicle, I would forget items. So, you know, I was really bad at keeping a list. And so, you know, I started learning with the process that I had to keep a list of what I needed and what I would need for that party. And then also, you know, I had themed parties, so that's the worst idea you could ever do if you didn't want that much work to be done. Now, it does bring you extra revenue if you do theme, you know, parties, because you charge extra for the decor. My baby woke up, guys. Say hi. Say hi. So I'm gonna have to continue this video with her maybe in the background playing around. So anyways, so yeah, so having theme parties brings extra revenue because you could charge for that extra decor, goodie bags, theme plates, theme whatever you're gonna do, you know, backdrop, all that stuff, you can charge extra. Now, if you only have one specific theme and you use it every time, it's much easier, right? Because you already know how everything goes. The client already knows there's nothing specific to it. The only thing you wouldn't be able to charge extra, and it wouldn't be extra revenue for you. So I do recommend, if you're gonna do themed, charge extra for all that stuff because it's extra money for you. My number 3 con would be that I could only schedule 1 to 2 parties a day, for that reason being that I could not travel from one distance to another in that short amount of time, especially if you are setting up, especially if you have a theme party, loading, unloading, and etc. And so when you're working as mobile, you do have to travel as far as you need to. I've even traveled as far as 30 miles, I would say, from my home back then, because that's I had no other choice. I was just starting and I would get excited when I would get parties, so I would just travel. But once you get recognized, if you could stay within a certain amount of miles, it would be better. That way you can book as many parties as you can. And yeah, so that's my experience with being mobile. Like I said, back then I didn't like it because of the way I was running it. I was charging way too little. I think I was charging like $100 per party, and honestly it was the worst idea ever because it's a lot of work into it. You know, and then I still had to pay my niece for that, you know, job. But either way, now if I was to do it all over again, I think it's a great idea because, like I said, you have no attachment, no leases, no payments, no bills to pay. And I would do it much differently because I would charge more. I would charge travel fee. I would book at least 3 parties a day, but I would do it, you know, close radius or close to each other. That way I can do more and make more money. So yeah, so that's what I liked and I didn't like about being mobile back then. But like I said, now I would do it a lot differently. I would have my own vehicle for that. I would have more help so I could book more parties, and then I wouldn't do the thing because I don't like it. I specifically don't like it, but I know a lot of people do like, you know, they like doing decor and themes and all that stuff. And if you can organize yourself better, you know, you could do it and get extra money. I don't like it personally because I do have my kids that are small and I do have to drop them off wherever I need to, you know, my mother-in-law, whoever's taking care of them. And so yeah, so I would do it that way. If I would go mobile again, I would have my van, I would have everything loaded up, I would have one specific theme, and I, you know, have 2 to 3 hostess to help me, and they would know exactly how everything goes, have a plan, have different packages, and each package, you know, exactly the same way every time you do them. Obviously I would charge more. I would charge travel fee. I would add like goodie bags, I would add like custom plates, napkins, stuff like that, and I would organize it way before and have everything ready way ahead of time and have it loaded up on my van already with a list of things that I'm gonna need for each specific theme, each specific party. And yeah, so that's my experience with mobile, and I hope this helps you if you're trying to decide whether you want to go mobile or storefront. Now I am going to talk to you guys about my experience as storefront, which I love having a storefront for many reasons, but I also have a few cons, I would say. So now I'm gonna talk to you guys about my storefront experience. I got a little bit more comfortable because it's a little bit longer of a story, or you know, of experience with the storefront. there's a lot of things that I love about owning a storefront, because I can do a bunch of events, I can invite people in, I can decorate however I want, I can have say hi, I can collaborate inside my storefront, and people actually love going to a storefront because they don't have to clean their home, you know, make room in their home for a party. And I'm sorry, she's just shaking the camera. So yeah, so there's a lot of reasons to love and why you should open a storefront, because like I said, you can do pretty much anything in your storefront, and you can have a certain theme, you can have balloons, you can have a bunch of packages, because you can do a lot more in your own place rather than you traveling to a home. And I don't know, that's one of the main reasons why I love having a storefront. But I do have some cons about having a storefront. Number one being, you have a lease, you have something attached to, you have a contract, and you have to have insurance for your suite, for your business. You do have to go through, you know, a process when opening. You have to go through permits, inspections, and there's a lot. So I'm gonna go down through all the list, and so you can understand of what owning a storefront is about, and that would help you narrow down whether you want to be mobile or have a storefront. Give me 1 second. Give me a flower. Go give me a flower. She doesn't want to give me a flower. Okay. So this is working with a toddler. And working meaning like anything I do, she's with me, and I love it so much. But this is why I can't be mobile. And that's another thing. In storefront, you can actually bring your kids with you and have a separate room for them if you need to. Even bring your babysitter if you need to. I don't have a babysitter specifically, but I know my mother-in-law watches her, so I really don't have to bring her to the salon if I have to go in. Sometimes my husband's at home, so he'll watch her. But yeah, anyways. All right, so number one pro about having a storefront is, like I said, you can do events, you can do your own themes, you can have a beautiful decor, you could collaborate with other party people, you could have more people in, actually, because a lot of the time people don't like having their parties at home. They don't want to clean up, they don't want to set up, they don't want to decorate, they don't want to do all the extra work. So having a salon, a venue, you know, helps you bring in more customers. So number two would have to be, I'm able to book more parties. So I can start off as early as 9 a.m. because everything's already set up. So, you know, the only thing that I normally got my parties 3 hours in between. That way, if a party is an hour and a half or 2 hours, even 2 hours and a half, I still have 30 minutes to clean up, set up, disinfect, whatever I have to do for the next party to come in. And so I could have up to even 5 parties a day if I wanted to. Now, if you're gonna be open all day for spa days, you can space them out an hour and a half each or an hour each, because you would do spa days only, and that's mainly during the weeks, because I recommend you doing parties during the weekends, because that's what they would hire you for parties during the weekends. Now, those are my 2 pros I would say about having a storefront. I think I have a lot more cons about having a storefront, because of my personal experience, right? I did open right during COVID, so it was a struggle getting people to come into the spa during weekdays. People were only booking for parties, so, you know, I would stress a lot more to have my revenue coming in so that I could pay rent, so I can pay insurance, because you do have to have insurance, you have to pay rent, you have to have pay hostess, you have a lot more bills. You have to pay light, you have to pay, in my case, internet, phone. There's a lot more bills when owning actual storefront, right? So that's my number 1 con. Number 2 would have to be trying to keep revenue coming in for payments for everything. So I can't really take vacations off unless I have somebody working there. I have to make sure I have, you know, events going on happening when I don't have bookings, when I don't have parties. You have to keep the money coming in. You have to keep it coming in because of the bills. And then also to keep a team with you, you have to have parties, you have to have work for them. So, you know, number 3 would have to be, you have to make sure your place is clean. You have to make sure you're on top of everything, because there is parents that pinpoint every single little detail, every single little thing. You have to be careful what you do. And, you know, pedicures, facials, all that stuff is very, very crucial, you know, that you know you're doing everything correct, the right way. I feel like I'm a little bit all over the place because she's here, but I hope you guys are understanding the differences in my experience. I love having a storefront, but if I could go mobile again, I would. The only thing that, okay, another pro about having a storefront, you don't actually have to be there. You can have your own team, your own employees, and they could run the whole entire place without you having to be there. Have a employee handbook, have teach them the proper way to run your business, have a manager, have a main lead or main host or whatever you want to call it, so that you don't have to be there if you don't want to be there, or if you have something to do. Because if you are mobile, you actually have to be there 100%, you know, and travel and drive, and that's the responsibility of owning a mobile kids spa. So yeah, so being mobile, you have to be there. Having a storefront, you really don't. You could have a team, just like I do. I don't have to be there all the time. Now I can take care of my babies. If my husband's home or if my mother-in-law can watch them, then I can leave them. But now I don't have to be at my venue, if you know what I mean. I don't have to be there 100% because I have a team. I have a place where they can go to, and they don't have to travel. I don't have to worry about that. So that's another thing that I like about owning a storefront. And yeah, so that's pretty much my experience, you guys. I wanted to tell you what I went through. If I missed something, because I have my little one with me, but I wanted to get this video out for you guys as soon as possible because I've been getting a lot of questions about it. And yeah, so I hope it helps you. Leave in the comments down below if you already own a kids spa, mobile or storefront, your experience, so others could see. And yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.